What is going on, Diablo 2 fans? My name is Zabrensky, and today I'm bringing you a lower Kurast running guide for Diablo 2. I get asked all kinds of questions about lower Kurast, so I thought this would be a wicked video to make. In this video, I'm going to cover where the chests are located and why they're so important. I'm going to cover rune patterns, map rolling, I'm going to show you some example runs, and then we're going to finish off the video with some frequently asked questions about lower Kurast. So guys, I really hope you enjoy this video. Let's jump in. So where are the lower Kurast super chests located, and why are they so special in Diablo 2? Well, the LK super chests are always located within the huts to the upper right and left of the campfires in lower Kurast. The campfires are pretty easy to distinguish because of the circular patterns of torches that surround the campfire. The hut to the upper right will always spawn with one super chest, while the hut to the left will always spawn with two super chests. It should be noted, guys, that on a really good lower Kurast map, you can spawn 2 campfires for a total of 6 super chests. Now these super chests are special because on single player, they are mathematically the most efficient way to farm up to a jaw rune. Even though they can only drop up to Burr, it's still considered to be more efficient to cube up to jaw through lower Kurast than farming any other location in Diablo 2. The LK super chest drop patterns is basically what makes these chests so special. To put it simply, there is a limited number of set patterns that can drop from these super chests. For example, a set pattern could be an Am rune, cracked sword, and magic leather gloves. But what makes these patterns so special is that there are a number of set patterns that contain high runes like Ohm, Sur, and Burr. These are the patterns that we want to hit as we pop open lower Kurast super chests. And this is where players' difficulty setting is so important. The difficulty setting that you are playing on determines the number of set high rune patterns and thus dictates the efficiency of high rune farming. For this video, I'm only going to examine the rune patterns on players 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 because they are the only 2 difficulties worth discussing in my opinion. As far as I know, these are the up-to-date lower Kurast rune patterns for players 5 and 6 and players 7 and 8. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below. On players 5 difficulty, there is a total of 21 different pull through ist rune patterns, and you can see how they're individually broken down by specific rune to number of patterns, while there are a total of 22 go through burr patterns. The only reason players 5 difficulty is really worth mentioning is because of the number of low rune patterns. There is twice the amount of low rune patterns on players 5 and 6 difficulty as there is on players 7 and 8. So it is technically and mathematically more efficient to farm LK on players 5 if you're solely hunting for low runes. On players 7 and 8 difficulty, there are a total of 42 pull through ist patterns, double the number of known patterns on players 5 and 6, while there are a total of 38 go through burr patterns. The 11 Sur patterns is really what stands out on players 7 and 8 difficulty. Sur runes go a long way for cubing up to Burr and Jaw for making rune words like Infinity and Enigma. Map rolling is another important aspect that I want to cover in this guide. An ideal map with 2 campfires in close proximity to the waypoint can save you hours of time over the course of thousands of LK runs. To try and illustrate my point, I'll show you a map that I would rate 7 out of 10 versus a map that I would rate 10 out of 10. So the first LK map is my own personal Diablo 2 map. It's an alright map. You can see that it has 2 campfires in moderate proximity to the lower Kurast waypoint. Having 2 campfires is a must, but you can definitely roll a better map than this. Now here's an example of a godly map. A big shout out goes out to Hamdrew, a member of my Diablo 2 Discord who gave me this map example to use. I would rate this map 10 out of 10. The 2 campfires are about as close to the waypoint as they can get. This is an ideal map in terms of efficiency, and if you are serious about farming lower Kurast for high runes, I would try and roll a map like this. Let's show a few run examples now to illustrate lower Kurast farming in action. Now I am buffing up with a CTA every run because I am level 97.5 and I don't want to die, but ideally you could save yourself a couple of seconds by skipping this process. It's best to use the lower Kurast waypoint to teleport back to Act 4 after each run because it allows you to skip running the entire lower Kurast dock. I do believe that there is a certain point when if you have enough faster run walk, it's more efficient to run the dock, but for the sake of this guide, we won't. The runs are relatively straightforward though. Teleport to the super chest as fast as you can and scan for jewels, small charms, grand charms, and runes. The drop clutter can sometimes be annoying, so make sure you scan for an orange flash that will indicate that a rune is dropped. You can also teleport outside of the hut to scan for loot as well, but sometimes you might be forced to pick through the loot when you're trying to pick up something specific. The key is to try and be as fast and efficient as possible, and this is where ideal map rolling comes into play, like I previously mentioned. So I think that pretty well covers lower Kurast farming, so now I'll try and answer some frequently asked questions that I get about this topic. Number 1. Does Magic Find affect rune drops from lower Kurast? And the answer is no. MF does not affect rune drops from lower Kurast or rune drops period in Diablo 2. The only thing that affects rune drop odds from lower Kurast is the player's difficulty setting. Number 2. What is the best character and character setup for farming lower Kurast with? A sorceress reaching the 200 FCR breakpoint is arguably the best character to farm lower Kurast with. The sorceress can take advantage of the skill telekinesis, and is the only character in the game that does not require the rumored enigma to teleport. It's very easy to build a budget sorceress to farm high runes with at lower Kurast. It's not really a very gear dependent setup. Number 3. What is the best player's difficulty setting to farm lower Kurast? Player 7 or 8 is the best difficulty in my opinion for farming the lower Kurast super chest. There might be more low rune patterns on players 5, but players 7 and 8 has more patterns for almost every other rune and has a total of 11 Sur rune patterns. A Sur rune is essentially half a burr and a quarter of a jaw, and burr and jaw are arguably the most valuable high runes in the game, so in my eyes it's best to farm LK with the intent to cube up to these runes as efficiently as possible. Number 4. Can you farm lower Kurast on Battle.net? You technically can, but it's going to be severely less efficient on Battle.net compared to single player. On single player, you don't have to worry about being realmed down for making too many games within a certain period like Battle.net. Additionally, you do not have control of the player setting on Battle.net like you do in single player. You could technically find full games on Battle.net and then check lower Kurast, but again, it's going to be nowhere near as efficient as single player. And finally, you don't have the same map every new game like you do in single player, another factor which limits your ability to effectively farm LK online. Well guys, there you have it. That's my guide on lower Kurast. I compressed a lot of information there into like 7 or 8 minutes. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If I missed anything, I could have missed something small, but I think I covered most of the points. But let me know in the comment section below if I made a mistake or if there's something I should have added. But I feel like for the most part, this gets everything across that you need to know about farming lower Kurast runs. And I hope it answers a lot of questions because I do get asked this a lot on stream and even on my videos as well. So guys, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you could throw a thumbs up on it and consider subscribing to my channel if you're new to it and you want to keep up with the Diablo 2 videos and streams that I put out on a weekly basis. That's all I have to say for now, guys. Hope you guys have a great day, great weekend, and I'll talk to you later.